What's up, everybody? Welcome those listening, viewing, another segment of For Good Brother Changing the Narrative. Super excited today about all of the things, man. Part 3 of What's My Value. Super excited about the conversation. We left off, so the last time the brothers and I discussed like what we deem as our value now, our growth in our value, where we've been, where we are now, who defines our value. And we have a special guest that had that same conversation, so I'll get to that shortly. First, I want to go around. Kevin, I'll kick it this way.
Fred.
Lavelle, y'all. Good to see y'all.
They don't think your name is Lavelle Yo.
Lavelle.
They gonna try to.
She'll have the name.
Lavelle Yo.
She'll have the name.
What's going on, everybody? It's Stefan. This is my guy, Lavelle.
Lavelle Yo. He's
Lavelle Yo.
He's Italian.
I was like completely thrown off when we were introducing ourselves.
Lavelle Yo. Y'all did. That happened just now.
I mean, it's cool.
Again, man, special guest. I'll try to let me know if I miss any titles. A poet, artist, master barber. Man, what?
Motivational speaker.
Yeah, I was getting there. Motivational speaker, philanthropist.
Dating expert.
I don't know, but I already took the shit too far. Philanthropist, author. Our more important than all of those things is our friend and our fellow brother, Mr. Vernon Jackson. Elemental, what they used to call him back in the day. We won't talk about that. You're welcome. In case you try to look that up, that's another conversation. Many different names. But if you want to look them up, you in the city, Noble Beauty and Barber, NobleBB.com. Also, for a week straight, you had the #1 book on Amazon?
No, it was like 3 weeks.
3 weeks?
New seller.
#1 new seller on Amazon. The Looking Glass. It's a book about self-reflection and relationships. I don't read everything, so it is a good read, a very good read. I strongly recommend it.
I second that.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that just because he's my guy, but because I would have told him if it was trash if it was.
Definitely would have.
But very good read. I recommend it. Also, shout out to my boy Tay, Luckie Few Clothing. So luckyfew.com, LUCKIE. That was my radio voice.
You gonna keep dropping that venom
What's he, the man?
I want to show the book.
All I see is a peach hand coming across.
People to see it, y'all.
So yeah, man, I'm glad Vernon's here with us to have that conversation, because it's a conversation that he and I have at the barbershop all the time, and that's how the value came up. So like something that he and I have discussed over the many years of our friendship is like, what is my value? What is my value as an individual, as a person in the world? What is my value as a man? What is my value in friendships, relationships, whatever that looks like? So I want to allow Vernon to tell his story first about what first for him defined his value, and where does he draw from to know what his value is now? So where he's been as it relates to that, and where he is now.
Well, first of all, thank y'all for having me on your show. I'm proud of y'all.
You welcome. Put your dirty ass.
Well, there's that. So I would say where my understanding of value came from a foundation is the relationships that and friendships that I had coming up that didn't require anything of me. I was valued just by being who I was and accepted for being who and how I am. As time progressed, so that's that's when I really understood just being valued for being who you are. Then the social value didn't really come into play in terms of how people value you outside of that into like it's what you can offer. You know, whether through popularity, whether it's through money, people think that you have, and, you know, they can benefit from you, and well, what ways and how many ways can you contribute to a bigger picture. And so, and then just to kind of bring it all full circle, you know, the more that we're able to have our value grow in terms of what we offer and the results that we get, there's also our value raises both socially and also within friendship groups as well. You know, the foundation of being accepted for being who you are will never change, but the value and appreciation for what you can offer and how you grow, you know, definitely adjust the appreciation of you, you know, if that all makes sense.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm gonna kick it off to the fellas in a second, but I want to recap what I thought I heard.
Mm-hmm.
So I know you talked about first being valued in a way that like people that are in your close circles like value the whole person. You know what I'm saying? Value who you are as a person, all of it,
Mm-hmm.
not just the good and shiny stuff, but also like that's that Vernon shit.
Yeah.
Like valuing the whole person. I know that's super cliche. People like, oh, like take me for who I am, but that's something that you equate to your value.
Yeah.
Also, an important piece before we move on, and I kick it off to the guys, is that time to reflect, to understand what your value is. And that's something that I've always respected about you. Tell me a bit about your process and how you take intentional time to reflect on who you are.
Man, you know, that's a good question. I learned how to listen. You know, the line that you have 2 ears, so you can listen twice is more than you speak. I started taking that seriously and literally, where I started listening into what I was experiencing, and not just listening in terms of this like auditory, just paying attention to what was happening around me and how the world was responding to what I call a self-assigned identity, right? Like who and how do I see myself? But then how does that self interact with the world, right? And then to be able to pay attention that, well, it's not translating fully and how I see it. So now I had a time to see the reality is the sum of who I think I am and how the world receives it. When those collide, okay, what does that make up? And I started listening to that line, you know, that result.
So it's like a combination of both things?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's this, and I will start, now I know where it became a litmus test to see, okay, how far I have to go to really achieve the identity that I really want to have. And really show up for my identity that I really want to have also.
So you touched on something I think is important and something that we touched on in the last segment in part 2. You talk about identity and other people defining that. I'm going to hit you last on this one, and I'm going to start Stefan's way. Can you think about a time when you've allowed somebody else to define your identity and what your value is?
That's a deep one because I don't know if I can put my finger on that because I've been in the mind frame that I've been in now. It's because I've been shifting towards, and it was actually a question I was going to ask Vernon when you said those two collide. I think the problem in today's society is that we give too much value to what other people think about us. You know, that was my question I want to pose to the group is that how much, you know, if you're on that litmus scale or you're on that scale of justice, how much weight do you give what other people think about you? Because I got to the point where when you, of course, you want to care about what your family thinks about you. You know, I got a son. I don't want my son thinking his dad is a jackass or, you know, just flat out, you don't want them type of people looking at you in a certain type of way. Your parents, you don't want them looking at you in a certain type of way. Then it gets a little, to me, the barometer drops a little bit, where even my good friends, how do you all look at me, especially if we're not aligned on certain things, you know. So you gotta take a scale from that one. But from my own perspective, and I think that because of, just with me, with my how I ended up growing up, which I love, which was like from the city to a little bit out in the suburbs to 100% culture shock. I called it Saved by the Bell when my mom first moved me out there. Like, what is this? I don't understand what's going on. You know, you from Cincinnati, like, I can't, the metro don't come out this far, like, I'm stuck.
Right.
That's supposed to not.
When you were, you know what I'm saying, a young man, not even quite a teenager yet, and you used to ripping and running the streets, it's just like, boom. So now I'm out here with people who really don't, they ain't seen too many black people, they ain't taken too many black people. I learned that I don't really care what you think about me, because you don't understand what's going on, especially in the late 90s. You know, so early in that time, you don't understand what's going on. So that's one of the things that I take from that. But the good part about it was I learned not to care so much about what other people think. You're never going to be, I don't care who you are, you're never going to be 100% there. As human beings, you're always going to be there. But you got to differentiate your feelings, because that's usually, and people don't understand this, in a moment in time. You feel a certain way in a moment in time. No matter what it is, you can usually, even if you get over it for a minute and you see something, or you see anybody that may bring some feelings back, but they went away for a minute. And then once you learn how to deal with them. So for me, it's really, you know, I really want to pose it back to everybody else. I value what other people think about me, but it also depends on how much value I give that person. So it's reciprocal.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? If I respect you and I value you, where I stand on your totem pole is much higher than probably a stranger, or, you know, just a run-of-the-mill, somebody who, some of those things where, you know, somebody who don't really have nothing going on. You know what I'm saying?
So are you saying, like, so then if from that perspective, depending on how much respect you have of the person, so now when you start having people around you that you respect, then those outside perspectives, then do they have how they see you? Do they have, their sight and how they look at you have value then?
It makes me, kind of like what you said, it makes you go internal.
Okay.
So now, because they just may have brought something to my attention that I didn't notice that I was doing.
For sure.
It can be something that you're doing, and then you kind of sit back and that whole, now I got to look in the mirror. But somebody tell you something about yourself, it's just sort of like, you think about it, a cat that you look at, you can't dress. You ain't never done dress your whole life, and you gonna tell me I'm gonna fly.
For sure. You know what I'm saying? Or we're in a barbershop. A cat that ain't never got a haircut talking about my haircut. Like, I ain't never seen you with, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole different thing. But then you get into a situation where it's somebody who you feel is fly. They always been fly. They always kind of been put together. You seen them progress, and you seen the work behind it.
Yeah.
That's the other part I say. You
Yeah.
kind of moving on it. I see the work behind.
Yeah.
I just don't see the end presentation.
Sure.
I might be like, okay, you may be on to something.
You know what? If I can say something.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
I think as you were talking, I think I'm just gonna say it. I think what's dope is what we end up doing is that when the people that we end up having respect for, you mentioned, look in the mirror. The people that we have, when we start surrounding ourselves with people that we have respect for, those people become the walls that we are standing in the middle of. That those walls that those people are mirrors, right? Mm-hmm. So therefore, which is why the company that we keep, right? Mm-hmm. If we keep a certain kind of company around us, the people that we spend the most time with, if we don't respect their word and their perspective enough to challenge us, then why are they in our circle? And if they are in our circle, and we're not listening, what does it say about us? Yeah. That's really where, just nobody have my circle. I'm like, no, you can't. If you're in my space, you have the right and the grace to say, hey, you should know this. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Put it on the table. Mm-hmm. And so, because you are the mirror reflecting back to me what I'm giving off.
Yeah.
You know. Now, if I say fuck it, be after that, then that's me. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, and for totality, not. You should pay attention. Otherwise, if you're not paying attention to it in closing, if you're not paying attention to people that you have, and people that you have around you, don't have grace to speak into you or speak to you, then your judgment is messed up.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And also, before we move to the bills, upon something that you mentioned, identifying what are feelings and what are facts. I'm saying, like, some people feel that they have this value about themselves when they really don't. And full transparency, that's a conversation that Vernon and I had a lot. Like, he would always tell me basically like I see more greatness in you than what you see in yourself. And you have to have people around you that you value that comes from. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's important. So.
And it come back to that's why I said it's seeing the progression of somebody and not what's right in front of you, because there's so much faking it until you make it right now. And then it also comes back to when Vernon was talking, I was thinking about that old saying that you should never be the smartest person in the room.
You're in the wrong room.
You should be able to elevate. If you're the smartest person in the room, your job should be to elevate everybody else in the room. Therefore, it's going to end up continuing to push yourself for you to continue to be the smartest person in the room. But then everybody around you is elevated. So in that aspect, I can dig being the smartest person in the room, but I'm getting my knowledge from somewhere. So I'm bringing somebody else in. You know what I'm saying? There's 5 of us right now. I'm the smartest person in the room. I'm elevating us. Once I get to a point, who am I going to?
Right.
So if I'm going to somebody from the outside, now I'm bringing them in the room. I'm no longer the smartest person in the room, but now as a group, as a collective, we all learn together. And you're going out, what you should be doing, where people miss it, you're going out to your other circles. We all have other circles outside of us right here. But if we bring back the knowledge, if I take back something I learned from Vernon to another clique of people, now instead of 5 of us knowing it, now maybe 10 of us know it. And then we can kind of keep on expanding on that aspect. I think that we lose stuff in that one, keeping information to yourself, not sharing how I got this, not sharing how I got on. I'm pretty sure Vernon can share with 10, 15 other people how I got my shop up and going, what I do to promote my shop. Not being threatened, because that's the problem, because I'm still secure in what I do. You know what I'm saying? Like you introduced him as master barber, so he's secure in his skills as a barber. So me putting you on, I'm not threatened by it. We're gonna grow together. Really the overflow that I can't get, now I got somebody, go see my man right here, because I ain't got time to get you. That's a lot of time I got respect for them people too, because they respect my time and what I got going on. They just gonna have you out bad anytime they refer. That's why I like to tell people, man, it's twofold. Anytime you get a referral, you gotta think about the person who you refer and the person who's doing the work, because they're both a representation of you.
Yeah, and people are your biggest resources too. Lavelle, so circling back to that initial question about other people defining your identity and molding your value. Can you think of like a specific time where like that resonated with you or it hit you a certain way? Because people have negative and positive experiences with that.
Yeah.
So what has that journey been like for you?
It's been a whirlwind. Because I can look at it in both ways, positive, negative. From my upbringing all the way to where I am and who I am today is part of that value. Me being raised by a single mom, I saw the value in my mom and the respect and honor to what Stefan was saying. Like, I value my mom and some of my family members, my sisters, to where like I don't want to upset them or mess up our family name, because your name says a lot too. But also with that, you can change the narrative of your name too, because I'm a junior and my father was an asshole of a man. But I changed the way that looked because of that name that was carried on to where people don't say, oh, you just like your daddy. Because that's a negative value when people get that pushing, and when people say things like, you just like your daddy, you're just like this person, you'll never amount to anything, it loses the value of that person or that confidence in that person, which tries to help them find that value. So I see it in both ways, and I think in the negative value outside of like my father is what society says too, and what race is. Like I remember one time when I was pulled over for fitting the description, and that officer, it was in that moment I didn't feel like a man. I felt devalued as a man because he didn't see me as a man. He saw me. I won't say all the names, but he didn't see me as a man. Put it like that. So I would say it's in both of those times where I've seen the value. But with all of that being said and done and happened in my life, I think it still comes to what you know about yourself and your self-worth at the end of the day, and what you know, what you can tolerate and what you can't, and who you find that circle of people who can challenge you and help you and strengthen you to help you find that value. And then everybody else, it doesn't matter. I don't really care. I don't care what you think. I tell this to so many people, from friends, family, and co-workers at my job, like, F what everybody else thinks. You know what you're capable of. And you know who the people who surround you, who love you, who can challenge you and push you to that point. But I think there has to be a self-knowledge and a self-worth of knowing who you are as a person, to also define that value in yourself, to know how far you can go, and the limitations that you can go. Because I do think what's the old saying? I'm not gonna get this wrong. What's the old saying? The sky is the limit. I do. But the sky is the limit, and I believe everybody can reach it. But you have to know your worth. You have to know how much you can handle at certain points, in certain times in your life, which all helps you find the value of someone. I want for my daughter to see the value of her father being a hard worker, but also being a father who loves her, who's taking care of her, who showed her, hey, this is how the process, this is how you should find a man one day when I leave this earth, or for your future husband. This is all the characteristics that you see because of the value that your father put into you, but the value that you also saw in your daddy as well, to know when I leave this earth, she's good, because that value has already been taught and shown to her.
I think you said something interesting too. It was first about the ability to change that narrative based on your values. So see what I did there? Okay. Also, I think something that people struggle with, whether they admit it or not, is like placing too much value in what other people think of them. Because if you have so much confidence and value in yourself when you know yourself, you're deemed as arrogant. And if you don't value yourself enough, then you're insecure. So there's that happy space. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe there's not. Maybe it's like, yo, I know myself, I know my value, I don't really care what other people think. I think that'll segue into another conversation that we're gonna have at some point about the value of money and how it creates an illusion of inflating people's value that they don't have. Yeah. You don't hit it. Don't do it.
I don't hit it because we go somewhere else in Lavelle. Like Lavelle said, it was thinking in my head.
And I like the way you get it because it's twofold. It's when does the overconfidence and the over feeling of oneself project out. So sort of like nowadays everybody use that 40-year-old rapper who still got that hot 16 ready to get signed. but you're so confident that one day you're gonna make it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna be the next. I don't even know who, because I don't know who came out at 40. But you're gonna be bigger than Hov. You know what I'm saying? You've been trying this since you was 13. When is the time to give up? And then it's that person who has it, but it's kind of devaluing themselves and not putting themselves in a situation, not taking a risk, not going out there. But I think you see more of that first one, where I think that people really think that they're better than what they are. That's why I like, see, here's how you use the proof is in the pudding. That's how you use.
Yeah, you would have tore that up.
No, I would not. The proof is in the pudding.
Somebody made the pudding and then they put something else in it. and then you know it helped.
I mean, like those banana pudding, y'all don't start like
banana
pudding. I do think it is a balance beam. It is a balance beam. You do have to find that
If it's
balance.
in the abstract, you couldn't put it. Something like that.
You gotta find that balance of knowing how much your worth is too, but also listening from other people. But I do think it's also a part where it needs to be, as Vernon said and Stefan said, it needs to be to the point of those people that you respect, that you love, and that you've seen them put in the work too. Because I'll be damned if I let a beggar tell me something when all you've been doing is begging your whole damn life. But if I have that group from family to friends to even some coworkers who have known and seen me put in the work, but I've also seen them and I respect them for that, I think it is finding that balance, because then that also pushes you. That's why, I mean, doing a little scripture, but it is not good for man to be alone. It was for many reasons, but it also is because it does take that village. You need those people that's going to help and support you. You need those people that's going to root for you and push for you. But you also need those people that's going to discipline you. You need those people that's going to challenge you. You need those people that are going to tell you when you're wrong. And you got to take it. So you need that, but you got to find that balance. And you know, if those people who are challenging you, who might discipline you, who might maybe dictate what you say, or give you the truth versus the feelings, if they're doing it out of love and respect for you because they want you to be better, they want you to value yourself better, then I have no problem with that.
Freddie J, I know a lot has transpired since that original question. But overall, just thinking about a time where someone on the outside that you valued at the time, like, kind of created your value system for you, and like where you are with that now, because I know it's a conversation that we have a lot too.
Yeah, I would say that I'm starting to, even at my age now, I'm starting to understand my value. I didn't know it, or like self-worth, due to who I am and what I've been able to do, like over the years. In my life has been music, or it's been baseball. Me playing minor league baseball was the thing that I chose myself. But after I got tired of that, I came home, and I just adapted to what was normal, which was church, right?
Because other people said that's who you should be.
No, I mean, I enjoy, going to church. Like that was, it's my thing. Like I love God, I love church. But the things that you do inside of church.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. So like, the singing and the music, the instrumentation of it all, those things were, I was guided into those things. Like in the sense, like, not the elongated, but growing up, my grandfather owned this bar on Red Road, Williams Park, on the Shower Lounge. So from there, I got to see B.B. King, Bobby Blue Bland. I seen the Spinners, the Whispers. I seen a lot of people come through, the hole in the wall spot. And, when they would take a break, I would jump on the instruments and just beat on crap. Well, I can do it. My papa part on the bar, I want it. But, so the love for it, naturally, because I like hearing it, I didn't have the ability to put it together until I was pushed into lessons and things like that. So like my life in the sense of value, it became what my granny or my mother, being a single parent home, my mother, my granny, my papa, my grandparents, my aunts and uncles, everybody in my family, on my father's side sings, on my mother's side, they sing. So it was almost like the thing to do in church. So those things I was pushed into. And just fast forwarding now, I've been able to achieve a lot of things, but those things honestly brought a lot of pain and heartbreak. And so I've strayed away from them in recent, but that's because I'm like, well, this is what everybody else wanted me to do. You know, the things that I'm doing now are very simple, maybe weird to people, but like fishing is the thing, right? But nobody's forcing me to do it. Like I found solace, I found peace in it myself. So I'm learning the value now, which is honestly those things the abilities that I have, in my own time, I'm making my way back around to music.
From in your own way.
Yeah, in my own way.
You value it in your own
because
way.
I appreciate it from a different perspective.
For sure.
Versus like, you know, I gotta go to church every Sunday. Like that's the normal to get up and go to church, you know, and sit in the pew or be on the drums or those things. Not that they're bad things, but if you don't have a true understanding of why you're doing it just out of formality, there's no value.
Sure.
So it's kind of like, you know, what DeVille said, what everybody said, what Vernon said for me was big. It was, I want the word that I heard when he was talking about the people that are around you. Like, you know, of course, you know, I can mention, you know, you guys, you know, people, Rick, Stan, you know, I say Project, you don't know who that is, but,
Right.
you know, even Dave and that mix, you know, I think it's you guys as my friends, you know, Stefan is the newest person in my life out of you guys, but like when the fellas get together, like we chilling or we, you know, whatever we're doing, you know, Vernon may say something, you may say something, they'll stand, Project, whomever, right? For me, you guys are the measuring stick. So it goes back to what you're saying about the smartest person in the room. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you guys haven't been my friends, but I was always hanging with my church friends.
Yeah.
So my mind is always inside of this block where people started to shape, oh, this is who Fred is. And I was getting agitated, like, no, I don't want to sing. I don't like, I'm more than this record, or I'm more than this song. I'm more than, you know, this minister. Like, I'm a dude that literally likes to just chill with my bros. I want to go out of town. Yeah. I'm doing things now that I've never done before in 42 years, bro. Like that. I'm not being funny. Like Vernon, you know, I don't want to love him because I want to get back, but you know, I watch Vernon, right? We look up on social media. Vernon's out of town. He on the beach, chilling. You know what I'm saying? And we be laughing. We be talking. I be like, he didn't even say nothing, but he don't have to. But it's just where he is. It's like I'm gonna pick up and I'm just going for a few days. I just need to.
Or 12 hours.
Right, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
right. He's going for the day trip, you know? But I'm saying, like, for me, like this weekend, I'm literally going to the Dallas Cowboys game down in Dallas. Never been to Texas in my life. But I'm like, I'm doing things now that I never would have done before, based on the measuring stick of my real friends, man. Like, that's
Let me ask you.
amazing.
What stops you from doing that in the past? Like realistically, what do you think stops you from doing that?
Tradition and religion. I was
or the tradition in the religion.
There you go. It was if you're not sitting on the drums, or if you're not leading praise and worship on Sunday, who's gonna do it? This is your job. But all that time I would always think, well, who the hell was doing it before I was?
Right.
Somebody was.
Somebody was doing
And
it.
if you died, somebody would continue.
And you know what I think when I hear that? And it goes back to my old, because you have a skill and you have a value. And we're talking about church and Bill brought this God-given thing. So you have a God-given talent. So when you look back, it's from a business sense that I tell people at work all the time. I agree with everything you said. They would notice if I didn't come to work tomorrow. But there's people who work in the facility where I work at, where they could not be there for 2 or 3 days before somebody would notice. And they don't understand that.
Yeah.
But when you have a talent, you have a gift, who did you train to be there to take that spot? Because there's always two sides to everything. You got your gift, and that's sort of what's the outside of it. Because you get notoriety off your gift. You know what I'm saying? You got a high hand, you may be able to charge 100, 150 a haircut. Because you got that high hand. But, kind of like what I said before, who are you? Are you mentoring somebody? Are you showing them a way to be able to get this? So, what if Vernon decided I want to step away for a month? But he got people, like me with my barber, I tell people all the time, I say, I'm a bill. You can count on me religiously. my barber can look at me, that's my cell phone bill.
Mhm.
This guy's coming in here every week religiously. I don't have to worry about it.
If he come, I'm pretty sure we got cats like that. This cat show up missing,
Yeah.
some radar is gonna come up.
Yeah.
So
You're part of my budget.
exactly, my brother saying it's a line item, and for me and my son, a line item. He just right here, like it just is what it is. But if you were to want to take off for like a month straight, do you have somebody who could take care of your people?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I do. You know what I'm saying?
And see that,
And right.
and that's where I was going with you. Is that sometimes you got to understand with our gift, you can't hold it to yourself. You got to share it and embrace it and teach and bring people behind you and teach people behind you. So when the question goes, who's going to stand if you're going to go somewhere? Who's going to be right? Because you're still needed. Who's going to be right here?
So I would say I agree with you, but I disagree to a point, and not directly towards you, but that's where I got to the point where I say I don't give a damn anymore. Because the difference in that of coming up with that gift, and Bill can attest to that, what you find in that arena is very different from Vernon in a sense, because Vernon can have guys that are working in his shop and they've come out of barber school, come out of barber college, and then he can brush them up, right? And so I don't know how that works in bro shop, but I would tend to think that he could be like, well, you know, I'm talking to my guys in here or whatever. So if I'm out of town and one of my clients come in, they got to get touched up. This is who you go to. Only reason why I say that is because I remember, and I'll move forward. I started going to Vaughn back in the day, right? And Vaughn moved out of town. Well, Vaughn and Devin were always big brothers to me. I've known them since I was young, right? So when Vaughn moved to Florida, Vernon came into the shop. And at that time, I didn't know, I just knew Vernon to be the guy in the shop. I became friends and bros with Vernon as a kid. So I'm like, oh, I know him. Like, okay, he cool. Like, I can see what's going on with Vernon. So Devin became my barber then, right? Well, no, it was Tony. Then Devin was like, I got it, little bro, don't worry about it. Now, when Devin passed, that's where the thing became an issue, because I didn't know who the hell I was going to go to. You know what I'm saying? But barbers, they can kind of, I don't want to say if that's consult or show,
Like a mentorship?
yeah, show things here and there. Wherefore, in on the religious side of it, in the music department, like the church, it's different, because if you are on payroll for a church, right? They want you. They don't give a damn about nobody else. They want you. Now you may be able to get away with a week, 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? You can't be there. But 9 times out of 10, right? And when I say a week, I'm not talking about Monday. I'm talking about Sunday.
Yeah, okay.
You get what I'm saying? So the key in that is that what you find in my world, in the Vale's world of the church community, with music, it is I want what I want, and everybody is nobody's allowed to move off their post, because it's not. Just being honest, nothing in church has really ever been consistent. Nothing has been consistent. The tithes and the offering are never consistent. You get what I'm saying? The people who come, one Sunday the church is filled up, the next Sunday is down. Or you got multiple services in the church. 9 a.m. service is packed. 10:15 service is kind of shallow. 11 something is it's middle of the road, right? So in a sense, you have all these parameters inside of that arena where they dictate. So for me, the frustration came. It's not that I don't really want to train anybody, but they don't want to hear anybody, because and I'm not saying every church, but most of the time you'll find that it's not really based on spirituality. It's just based on talent. We just people just in the building. So it's like LaVelle packs the seats. Yeah. Like if I come over to Life Spring, right? Yeah. Many times I've been in Life Spring now, I had countless people talk to me and encourage me. Oh, Fred, man, you're just awesome on the drums. And then we did the outside thing. Oh man, I didn't know you sang. Oh my God, this is amazing, right? Right now. But Lavelle is the worship pastor at the church. I'm not sitting here going to put myself up against Lavelle because he's my brother. I know what I can vocally do, and I know what I've seen Lavelle. I've probably never even seen Lavelle at his best, though. Like, I've just seen him be great, but not at his, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I guarantee you, if Lavelle said, man, I need to take 2 weeks off, LifeSpring is probably the only church that I could walk in and they'll say, you know what, man, this was just awesome. That was so awesome. But they expecting Lavelle because he set a standard already, and that's what the ear is like. Boom! No, I need to hear that. And,
right now.
and so that's so I'm with you because I mean we've had that conversation before. I think that's where it breaks down, and that's where a person getting back to me where you struggle with what the value is.
So I have a last question related to that for Vernon.
Can I say
Yes,
that?
absolutely.
Yeah. So what's crazy is like
and it's probably
this is a shame is the fact that when you came into the game, you were given a duty. You didn't choose it.
Right.
Right. So you didn't have so the mindset of the business part of it of
well, listen, this is what we're going to do and how I'm going to move through this, right? I'm going to do this, I'm going to train, I'm going to also look for talent to be here if I'm not here, that type of thing, to fill in if I'm not here for whatever the reason is,
Yeah.
right? And we're exchanging it that way. It's relational. People can build relationships with both people, you know what I'm saying? But I'm the leader, X, Y, and Z, we get that power, right? So, and what I hear you talk about, what I hear you saying the most is that the first part of your life, your value came from what you can do, not from who you are.
Right.
And now you're in a space where you spending time with yourself, listening to yourself, right? And you are creating, you are being a human being that now is becoming who you really are. So now whenever you do go back, you know what I'm saying? If you go back to playing, you're doing it with a real understanding of how you can be used, but you're now going to be using yourself in this space, and you'll be more in control.
Right.
So then their expectations being in control over you.
And that was my question: is someone assigning your value based on your skill set a hindrance versus a value, assigning your value as like a whole person?
You got control it.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh,
Yeah.
I know Lavelle friends. I know they're probably the top 10, 20 singers in the world. I understand that, and I know that, and they should have the confidence to say, "No, I'm definitely like top 3, 5." And I would be like, "Yeah,
I'll tell you, I'm talking about.
Yeah. So like, I understand that, but that's not the entirety of the value that I place on y'all as my friends and as men."
So here what I'm saying, and it's from a business perspective, it's from a challenge on something. You say that you know within yourself that you within the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
You, church XYZ, ABC, you want me. Here are my parameters. In order for you to have me, because I feel like I'm top 5, I always use a LeBron scenario. You put butts in the seats. No matter what, when you look at professional athletes, some people get signed because of their name, they put butts in the seats.
Yeah.
Like that's it. You're gonna put butts in the seats, you're gonna sell jerseys for me. But that's negotiating power. Mm-hmm. You gotta have that self-worth to be able to negotiate and say, hey, to Vernon's point, I'm gonna be here, there's 52 weeks in a year. I'm gonna give you 40. Flat out, I'm giving you 40. But what I'm also gonna do for you, kind of like what I said before, because the group of people I have around me, I'm gonna either bring somebody who I feel is as caliber with me, or somebody who I'm training and developing to get up to my level to fill in these other 12 weeks. Do you, and this is where people go wrong, do you agree with this? Because then it comes into it's a mutual agreement, it's a mutual understanding. Do you agree with this? If you don't agree with this, then you're not for me and I'm not for you, but I'm gonna go ahead and take my skills somewhere else. don't be mad when you see me across the street.
Yeah.
Because we came to some type of agreement that, you know, the two of us couldn't come to. And I think that we lose it in that aspect. And now you're mad, not you in general, but people get mad, especially when you provide a service, any type of service. Now you're mad at the fact that we didn't get along, and now I'm across the street. You know what I'm saying? I don't want the Wendy's. Even it's that simple. You know what I'm saying? I talk to, you know what I'm saying, people who got stuff going on where it's congested. You know what I'm saying? Right now you get a job anywhere. So you piss me off at Foot Locker, I'm gonna go sell some shoes at City Gear.
No,
seriously.
Yeah, no, even in the barber game. I got clients that left me that left all the time. Whether the fact of how they feel comfortable in booking, or how they want to get in, how they want to communicate with their barber, how I cut. You know, there's many reasons that, you know what I'm saying, like I tell people, I get told no so many times, but the result of my life you will never tell.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, the way that I move, I'm moving in a way that I am happy with my life, that I can live with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that's power both ways.
Yeah, for sure. You know, like, to your point, like you're like nah. I tell them what I want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, I tell them what I want to do.
So, piggybacking off of what you said, bro, just right there, that's what I wanted to ask you. But to answer even with you, Stefan, I think for me, on your end, that has always been the tricky end for me now that I'm in the headspace that I'm in now. Because church is actually business now. It's always been business. It's business in everything, like the lights gotta stay on, the water, all those type things, right? But church is now more so business of all the musicians being paid, praise and worship leader being paid, the sound people being paid, the lights, the custodian, the pastor, you know. Not that these things haven't been going on, but for some odd reason, as we move further and further in the present day, like future, you know, and now there's more light shined on it, so now it's big business, right? So for me, my issue had always been is that when I was singing, right, or playing, I genuinely, somebody would ask me, right, because I'm just going to church, and they ask me, I'm like, all right, cool, but I'm enjoying it, right? But the conflict came when you're trying to put these parameters, you know, on me, or these stipulations, and I'm like, wait a minute. And then at the time, I would tell you that when I said I didn't know the value in the sense of the dollar to be able to negotiate, and that's where I was going, where I wanted to up my bro and give ups to Vernon, because Vernon is the first dude to ever come to me, anybody that I've ever known, to say, hey bro, how much you gonna charge me? Because I wanna play drums for it. Like, I know you know how to play. Like, Vernon know I ain't the best, but it's like, I need you to teach me how to play drums. I never even thought about what that looked like.
Do you think that goes back to you not understanding your own value?
Exactly, because like what you said, people placed it on me. I was doing it just because I love to do it.
Yeah.
But then everyone else inside of the church world took advantage of it, and now I'm locked into it. And then when I'm diving deeper in ministry, you know, and understanding the call that's on my life, right? I didn't understand really what the call was versus what my gift was.
Yeah.
So it was explained to me that the gift was the call. And I'm like, no, the call was to preach. The gift was just the ability to play and to sing, right?
Yeah.
So then that parlayed, so it messed up what my thinking was. So when I say now, going back to what we talked about, it's like, now when I say I don't care now, it's because I've chosen to say I don't give a damn. I just don't want to do it because I'm doing all of this because, again, the measuring stick is me meeting Stefan, right? Me meeting him and understanding that he's really a business dude, right? The measuring stick is all my bro, Stefan, the Veil is the closest person to me in all of my friends that actually does the same thing I do. Like his call and then his gift is the same thing. So I'm looking at him like, okay, Cool. Then there's Vernon. Then there's Kev. Then there's Stan. There's Rick. You know, Dave. There's Project. Like the measuring stick is like. So now, like I don't want to do none of that right now because what I'm doing now is I'm looking at all my friends, looking at the bros, and I'm saying, when I step into a room, and all honesty, I just talked to my pops about this the other day. When I step into a room, we went out just to celebrate him. I stepped on that rooftop, bro, and I was like this. I honestly did not feel like I belonged there. Like, I'm with my bros, but I didn't feel like I belonged here because I'm like, I have never been in this world before. I'm like, it's so chill because to me, everything has been, you know, oh, praise God. And you don't go here, and you don't go here. And I'm like, there was nothing wrong about that atmosphere, but the only times that I'm truly in that atmosphere is when I'm with my bros. And I'm like, well, why the hell am I not comfortable being up here? I was in a pair of jeans and a t-shirt. Vernon was in sweats and a t-shirt. And I still was like, but I was looking at Vernon, and then I'm visualizing myself. And I'm like, yeah, you ain't supposed to be here, bro. But I know how to be a chameleon and sit in a room and I feed off what's going on. And then when you hear me start talking, I said, bro, my brain's moving. You know, what's up? And I said, this is what I want to do. Then Stan walked in. I said, cuz this is what I want to do now. And y'all was like, let's move on. Let's go. That stuff wasn't happening until I started opening up my mouth to actually try to take my own personal value from being around my bros to tell me, do you not, like you said when it comes to Vernon, Vernon's done the same thing with me, like you don't, dude, you don't see what I see in you. Like, why are you not, why?
That's Vernon like X, Y, and Z.
You see what I'm saying? That measuring stick.
But you gotta understand, like, I do that because I recognize that people, I was in it.
Yeah.
I was that person. You know what I'm saying? Like in my book I say, you have to like become the you that you needed when you needed it for someone else. And the only way that you are that person is by taking full ownership of who you are.
What book?
Looking Glass and Men's Reflection within the scope of dating relationships.
Look.
Y'all got a great guy.
For real.
You
know what I'm saying?
Hey, look.
We gotta get deep. So we're gonna go there. So you said you in a spot where you don't feel comfortable and you feel like you being a chameleon. So is it out of rejection from the church, you flipping the script all the way where now you're on the rooftop chilling and kind of going hard? Because I get where you're going because I was at that crossroads where, you know what I'm saying, and even you mess with me sometimes, you say, yeah, I can see you posted up outside. You know what I'm saying? I can see you posted up with it. But I've been at that crossroads where it was just like, dude, I'm just being honest. I've been at that crossroads sometimes where it was, I had three things to do when I was in college.
Right.
It could be go to work, it could be something else, or it could be go to school. My rationale was, at this current time, in 2000, I'm making money at 2 out of the 3 places. The third place is school. That's the place I can't go right now. But then also being in situations where you being around known killers.
Yeah.
I mean, you this close to it, but at that point, am I being a chameleon by putting myself in this situation just because it's right there, just because I have access to it? Like I told my stepmom is a pastor, and I told her one time we was having this conversation. I said, "Man, I feel more comfortable with the people I know from the streets than I do with the people in church." I said, "Why?" I said, "Because I know if I leave by myself with him, it's a 50-50 chance something could.
Streets gonna come your way.
Streets can come my way, or he can come back, and I could not come back. But in the presence of all of us, everything is good. But we all know he is such and such. I know he a killer. I know if I get in his car with him, and my experience, 75% chance his car is stolen.
Like boys in the hood.
Right.
Yeah.
And if the lights go off, he not stopping.
Right.
I know this, but when you go to church, to your point, everybody's putting on that facade.
Yeah.
Everybody is putting on who you want me to be instead of who I am.
Yeah.
But you got to figure out, and you a nice. But he's like that 1% of everything. He's a nice guy. Only been with his wife. All that other crazy stuff that you wouldn't even fathom.
Right.
He's like, yeah, you got a daughter. It's like bring home the veil. like bring home the veil.
Please.
But the question I was gonna question you is that you really felt like what is this? Or am I really trying to blend in? Is that somewhere I should really be? Or am I just running away from this thing that has pissed me off for so many years? So now I'm doing the opposite of it.
So my answer to that would be, and it may sound off. I know what I'm saying when I say it. So Vernon and Kev were very big. Of what I know about them is my friends, my brothers. Vernon and Kev are very, very big on their energy, and they're very big on their time. Vernon places value in not only his ability as a barber or as just a businessman in general, but his time is very specific. So if you was to question him about why your rates are this or this, he's like, and he'll tell you, my time. So one thing I can't get back. If you call me at a particular time, I may come out the house for you even if it's my day off. But this is the price because I came out of where I was.
Yesterday's price is not
Right.
today's price.
So I know. So I'm saying that about Kevin Vernon in a sense, answering it that way. When I say I'm a chameleon, meaning that I have the ability to be in any room because I'm just a cool person. But there's just certain things because the framework that I was brought up in, you know, like it's cool. Like I grew up and I was like this little kid in my grandfather's bar, right?
Yeah.
So I love that world. That's where the love for music for me derived. But also I go to a Catholic school at the time. Then I go to a Baptist church. I have all these. I want to say, I want to say attributes, or shall I say, or
that's what it is.
yeah, pieces that create the DNA of Fred, right? But I never was able to say, this is what I like. This is what I like. You know what I'm saying? So when I say, it's not about me, like, and I know you're not saying that, but to answer that question, I'm not trying to fit in. I'm having more enjoyment right now, figuring out, oh, I like this environment. And it's like, for instance, like all my dudes, right? All y'all. Just being straight up. I know Kev hates this verbiage, but
I hate it already. What you saying?
Kev's father is a preacher.
Yeah.
Assistant pastor, right? Vernon goes to church. He's been helped out in youth ministry, all those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
Lavelle, we know who Lavelle is. We know your stance in being, in church. Wife's a pastor, right? Stan probably never went to church. He just been outside the church and protected the church because his mother's house was on the street of the church.
Stan
So
like church more than I do.
right, so he will pop in too.
Yeah.
But Stan would be the guy that was always watching the parking lot. So if something happened, he laying hands on somebody. Now you don't mess around.
Not the holy hands.
Yeah, you don't mess around with the people on here. Him and Rick, right?
Right.
David, same as me. He was pushed into that. Project, I really don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So all my friends, outside even the church guys, my friends, the core circle, they all love God, have their own relationship with God. And as I'm watching them, again, it's the measuring stick for me. I'm watching them more now because they've always been there, but I was always looking at the people that I was normally hanging around. Not that there's any wrong with those guys. Those are my guys, right? But they're just one way. Yeah. And I can look at each one of you guys and be like, oh man, so I can do business. I can't have this vision. Like, okay, Fred is just not the guy who's the visionary for Call to Worship the group. Fred has a vision for this podcast. Oh man, I want to get into investing. Why did the investments come? Because Kev said something. Well, how do I elongate my money and don't want to be paycheck? Well, you need to make investments. This is the group of guys that's talking about that. the guys that's in the church, not knocking them, I'm not hearing that. We talking about laying hands, prophesying, and praying. And then I'm looking for a wife inside of the church. Epic failure, but let's move on. So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was dealing with people who was one dimensional.
Yeah, it's one, and so this core, that's why I said it's the measuring stick. But those people, you guys, like I said, Stefan is the newest one, but you guys have always been there. And so it lets me know I can look at myself, like Vernon said, and be like, this has been here, these resources, like you said, people, have been here the whole time, but it was up here of how I viewed it. So I hadn't tapped into it here, but when it started affecting me here, and I was frustrated, and then my eyes finally seen what my guys were doing, I'm like, wait a minute. So that's why I say now, I'm figuring out this value of what I am. Yeah. Like, and it's way more. That's why I said, like, this what we're doing that right now with this pod, and the other things that Kev and Lavelle talk to me, and I'm looking at Vernon, and dude, there's so much going on in my head right now that's already been there, but it didn't seem achievable based on the fact of me being one-dimensional and being in this traditional world of, I can still be for God, I live for God, I die, right? Mm-hmm. But that don't mean that every day that I wake up, I'm just in church, and that's not to knock the church, but that's where the imitation value came from, because it was a facade, it wasn't real, because I really didn't take ownership. I was doing it because it was formality. It was just normal to wake up and go through these motions, and it's like, oh my God, like 42 years and you.
And I think big takeaway, man, from all that, and feel free to post comments, is don't allow your value to be assigned. You have to really take the intentional time and be intentional about self-reflection, determining what your value is, and not letting that be assigned to you, because we're all at different stages of our journey as far as like defining what our value is, and it's never too late to start learning that. And also, as far as like your friendships, Vernon says it all the time, it's never a good time to have a tough conversation. There's just good posture. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with people around that. And
I wanted Vernon to explain, bro, because that's why we got you here. You when I was talking earlier about your timing in the sense of like how you started doing things in your pricing, right? Mm-hmm. Not necessarily that, but can you explain how it came across to me? Explain where the value in your timing and your energy played major played a major part in how you, because even Stefan has done that. You know what I mean? Like when you talk about your timing, like you're like, I got to do this, but I got I got all these meetings. But can you explain to how your energy and your time kind of, I want to say, focused how you made the measuring stick of what you did in business?
Yeah, I mean,
or what you do in business.
It comes in from, if I don't like how it feels, it's whatever. It's not just it's in the business, in the business, in the relationship of life. If I don't like how it feels, I'm like, I need to figure out, what do I really want to feel? Now that I identify what I want to feel, now I'm like, how do I get to that and get away from this? Therefore, when this feeling comes up, I'm not choosing that.
Yeah.
I'm moving into this direction. So when it comes to the pricing or me having a security and charging, like, yo, like, well, yeah, like, hey, at the end of the day, like, I've experienced this other side. I like how this feels more than I like how this feels. I'm going to out of the weight to experience what this feels like before I compromise and stay where I know I don't like it. What that does is it affects my energy. Now I'm doing what I don't like, and I'm doing what I don't like. I'm uncomfortable. I'm angry. These are all these things that I'm starting to feel that pull me down into a place that I don't want to be at. So why do I engage in that?
Yeah.
Right? And so where you know, when it comes to the time and money, like, no, like, nah, if someone try to negotiate, nah, I don't like how that feels. Nah, it's not for me. I'm not for you. And I'm okay with that, right? I love myself. I learned to enjoy my company, and to do what I enjoy and whatever capacity that I'm doing that, so that in the times that I may be alone, more often than not, I'm cool. So I have the leverage to be able to walk away from what I don't want to be in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Unless me being in something for a period of time and what I don't want to be in is for me is a gateway to the next part. But rarely, if ever, do I actually do that. Right? I rather live my close up your own, trying to wrap up, whatever. But and I know that I accept one of my favorite like coming to
My
like
favorite dances.
like one of my favorite. It's like a, you know what I mean? It's one of my favorite things I came into awareness of was realizing that stop reaching, just receive. And that's a paradigm shift. Because we're taught to always go. But imagine how much stress comes from going. You can go, but go in a way that you're in control and it's in a rhythm, it's a part of your growing, right? But for me, my thing is like everything in this, I look at everything in this world as a human being, and I get to experience this stuff. And now I'm receiving everything as a gift. So as I increase my capacity, I receive much more. You know what I'm saying? And that is what I'm constantly filled because man, this is a real gift for me now. Now not every day as I'm being present, my life is fully and realistically a gift now. Everything that I'm doing, everything I'm getting is a reflection of that, of being a gift.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I want that, and that makes it fully an enjoyment. Of like I can really enjoy life fully. Because man, all I'm doing is like positioning myself by doing what I'm supposed to do, following my calling, in my gift, and using my gifts, and whether I want to use my gifts, right? And watching and then receiving them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That reach and receive is powerful because that's something we talked about
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago. What was your
So to go back to Stefan, because how Vernon just explained that, it makes sense on the business end of what you just said. So my question would be for everybody, just looking at my standpoint or Lavelle's, right? From the position of being in ministry, rebel music and stuff. Is it okay to then the call and see the gift is the gift, but when the calling, right? Is it okay to be business minded about the call? Maybe that's something for Lavelle, I don't know. Because what he said, what Stefan makes sense. It's like, well, I'm not for you, but there's still a thing if you're moving as a minister or a psalmist, right? There's business to it, but then if there's people that will get caught up and then they're doing it strictly for business, and then the anointing now moves away from it. So now that's why you get what I'm saying?
That's it when it comes to religion though. So let me switch it from a business perspective. You good at what you do, right?
Yeah.
You ever volunteer your time?
Sometimes.
So if someone comes,
I'm in control of it though.
but so if someone comes to you with a good enough cause or something that you believe in, you will volunteer your time.
Yeah.
So that time, that same, with the vision, those people say it's 24 hours in a day. It's what you're gonna do with your time. So that same time, say it taking 45 minutes or an hour to cut hair, we just say he could charge $100 for this if he wanted to. But he'll take that same 45 minutes if the cause is right, if it's on him the right way. So he's really using his gift. It's every way, if you believe, for me, if you believe in church and you believe in the supernatural, any way I use my gift is outside God because he gave me the gift. So he's ministered by using his gift freely, which he could charge for. I think the problem with the musicians is that you hit on it, is the same thing with the church, is that people found a way to get paid off of using their gift through the church. Somebody found a way. It was just kind of like the whole thing. It's all the time in business. You stick your toe out there. Will you pay for water?
When we was kids, you never thought that you would pay $2 for a bottle of water. When we was kids, we used to say, ain't nothing in this world free but air and water. We used to say it.
Yeah.
Nowadays, if someone told me to go pay $2 for it, I don't even blink my eye at paying $2 for it. I don't even blink my eye at it. But somebody came up with the idea and said, hey, I can put this water in a bottle that has a label on it, and people will pay for it. So then it just started snowballing down and down. Even from the beginning, probably nobody got paid but the pastor. You know what I'm saying? Then maybe the praise and worship leader. Then maybe the director of music. Now all of a sudden, either the background singer want to get paid, the janitor want to get paid. When before, and it's like this in some other cases, I got a landscaping business and I'm a member of the church. I'm gonna come up and cut the grass. Somebody decided that I can tell them I want to get paid X, Y, and Z for it. So it's really within you when it comes back to your value and the people that you are around. You know, me, I say it all the time, I'm big on being around like-minded people. So we all got the same vision and we're all going towards a certain goal. It really depends on you, is what my price is going to be, or if I'm even going to charge. Or if I wake up one Sunday and decide I'm going to give my check back. You know what I'm saying? I could keep it, but this one day I decided I'm going to give my check back. It's just like somebody coming in one day out of the blue, somebody tip you more than what they usually tip you. They're not obligated to do that, but something within them that day decided that they was going to do this. The craziest thing with me was this year is the first year I stopped cutting my own grass. Oh, Eric was getting like, man, why are you still cutting grass? And I used to rationalize in my head. I said, you know what, this is my alone time. You know what I'm saying? It's an hour, a hot day, maybe an hour and a half, and you gotta stop because it's too. You remember my house is my side's a hill, I got a hill, all that stuff. Then I get a reference. Somebody come cut my grass. Had to be somebody that I went to elementary school with. I said, okay. Then I'm sitting there. I'm doing something. This is when it really clicked on me. I'm doing something else, and he's outside cutting the grass. So when you look at how valuable my time is compared to what I'm paying for this to happen, that's where the time comes into play. That's where you figure it out. And it really didn't dawn on me until like the third or fourth time. I'm literally doing something else. Or the kicker be I come home and the grass is cut. You come home and it's already done.
Right.
That's literally anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half. Then in my mind I'm saying, well, you know what I'm saying, this is my relaxation time. I'm thinking, I'm listening to a podcast, I'm doing something else. But sleeping is more important to busy people than me listening to a podcast for an hour.
Used to be my line, this is my exercise. Purpose to myself, I'm using to cut the grass. This is the reason why I gotta go to the gym because I cut the grass. That's a lie. That's a lie to yourself.
For sure.
But when it comes down to it, is how do you value your time and what else could you be doing with that? The thing I respect about you the most is you say, hey, these certain days I'm going fishing for my well-being.
Exactly.
That's valuing your time. But no matter what, I'm going fishing on these days for my well-being. But for me, what that says is that when you come back from fishing, I expect for you to be a better person. Because you had time to reflect, to think about things, to get things off your chest, to talk to God about some things, to bounce things off in your head. That if you were in church on the drums and pouring out into other people, you wouldn't have had that time for God to pour into you and for you to let Him know everything that you had going on. So you got to value, and everybody has to value that time, and it's when you got to come up with the hard no. My issue is that, and I would say, in y'all's situation, if you tell the leaders of whatever church that you're at, is that, hey, I need this time, and they tell you no, I would say you're in the wrong place. Because they're not really valuing you and figuring out what you got going on and understanding that you need to go away. When you look at it, you would say, what about your sabbatical? Because that's what your sabbatical is. You know,
Stop right there. Come on, I can open up right out there, kid.
You're in the house though. You're in the house.
I know that's
That's the major problem that you find in the arena that we sit in.
Yeah, no time.
Rest in power, John Witherspoon. You too. Yeah. That's it right there.
So, if something that we said resonated, especially for our special guest, the book is on Amazon.
Yeah.
Looking Glass.
Great read, y'all.
Also, if you're in the city, if you're in Cincinnati, Noble Barber Beauty, noblebb.com. No walk-ins. Don't do it. You're gonna be mad. Get an appointment on that. Get an appointment. For real, no walk-in. Take the intentional time to get to know yourself, understand your value. Don't let it be assigned to you. Be intentional about who is a part of your circle that is helping you define your value, and also show yourself grace because everybody's in a different place in their journey. So until next time, for your brothers, we'll be here. Hopefully we said something that impacts you. Feel free to leave comments, like, subscribe. If you don't subscribe, keep checking us out until we say something that strikes a chord that hits. Because I'm sure that those conversations, they're for somebody. Whether there's people in here, or there's people listening, or people watching, those comments are for somebody. So, wish you all well.
But also hit the notification button, y'all.
Yeah,
I
that's
don't care
important.
if they say that.
I did.
You can subscribe all day, but hit the notification button so every
You gotta
time.
do a beep.
Yeah, every time.
Yeah, that's what it
Hit that bell, and you got 3 options.
All right, until next time, y'all. Peace. Be great.